Hey guys, it's Angela, and in this video, we are going to be exposing Gavin Newsom. So we have so much to get to, from the Resnick family, the Delta Tunnel, Gavin Newsom's ties to both of those, updates on California, and how everything ties into the lack of water in the fire hydrant. Please make sure that you are subscribed so you can get recommended more content like this. Quick disclaimer, this video is going to jump around through different years. We're going to be talking about important public figures and politicians. I do have many opposing views on many of the things we're going to be covering, and I hope that you guys will give me the space for comedic freedom and a little bit of satire here and there. So Stuart and Linda Resnick both co-own the wonderful company, which they sell those wonderful pistachios, halos, lemons, that palm juice thing, and they also own Fiji Water as well as other companies. Now, recently, a lot of people have been noticing that, hey, isn't it just maybe a little bit messed up that the Resnicks, their businesses have consumed more water in some years than was used by residents in Los Angeles and the entire San Francisco Bay Area combined? Now, people rushed to California in 1848 for the gold rush, but they wouldn't have been able to stay if it wasn't for the water management, because 2/3 of California's water falls in the north. However, 60% of Californians live in the south. So it is necessary for them to bring that water in an intelligent way to the south. That is one of the reasons why it's pretty insane that the Resnicks acquired a water bank, an underground lake, that had been jump-started with the state public funds of about $74 million. So this couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, largely seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. So you can already see their ties into the political world, and that they benefit a lot from taxpayers' funding and the rulings of the politicians. So this family owns 185,000 acres in California to grow things like their little pistachios. They have also donated $1.3 billion to environmental sustainability. They use 150 billion gallons a year of water. They also have a monopoly on the water. Okay, so let's get back to them in just a second. In some of the most recent news, Brentwood is now in severe danger as well.
This is extremely serious. Last night we saw this fire push north, and a lot of people in the Encino area were worried, and they were forced to evacuate, and they actually were set in a mood to get ready to go.
So when you use being environmentally friendly as a smokescreen for all of your BS, you're gonna get some really weird environmental things happening, like a fire-nado. What even is that? I have never heard of this term before. But look at how the environment is responding to all of their environmental sustainability projects and funding. Meanwhile, everybody's talking about the Getty Villa, which is an educational center and art museum that is in Pacific Palisades that is also in danger. However, they are assuring us that they're going to protect it, as well as they're also apparently protecting all of the billionaires in Brentwood, because Democrats are their top priority. So we have a pretty good understanding on who the Resnick family is and what their priorities are. Now let's go ahead and see how Gavin Newsom gets wrapped into everything. So this is a little message from Mel Gibson to Gavin Newsom.
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel.
We're going to give you guys a little history on Gavin Newsom and his war with Donald Trump, because it seems like it's new. However, Gavin Newsom, he bashed Trump's border wall, saying California won't turn its back on asylum seekers. Is he really talking about asylum seekers, or is he talking about people who just decided that they wanted to come here because they were gonna get free stuff? So I guess Gavin always says pretty dumb stuff when he talks to Anderson Cooper of CNN. He told him, a 2,000-mile wall is a monument to stupidity, not just vanity, to stupidity. It's pure political theater. He creates these sideshows. You mean kind of like you standing in front of the fires? Oh, yes, like we're going to do stuff about this, or I'm on the phone with the president. Is that what you mean by political theater? Newsom defended $25 million, proposed a California program to assist asylum seekers who cross the border into the state, because he affirms federal government isn't doing its job. So this one here really didn't age well at all. At the top, you see LA fires, get the latest information and resources. And then you scroll down a little bit and he is criticizing Donald Trump again, saying instead of focusing on the real threats of wildfires, earthquakes, and other natural or man-made disasters, the president is throwing away millions of dollars in critical funds so he can build a great vanity project. It wasn't about wildfires. He didn't spend money in any way to prepare for his state, for the American people. But he really cares about the illegals. I mean, just look at this video that Gavin posted about Donald Trump.
The wall will not secure our border, and Mexico is never going to pay for it. Now Trump is trying to turn ICE into his own personal army of hate by more than doubling arrests of non-criminal immigrants. Trump is using ICE to tear apart families and pursuing a strategy experts call cruel.
It's so incorrect, because families get torn apart when there isn't a wall and when they are able to just literally walk right on through.
Hurt our economy by terrorizing innocent people. Together, let's keep pushing his hate out.
Okay, so you can see where Gavin Newsom stands, and that's why it's just so epic. It's so funny to see him still trying to fight against Donald Trump, and now he just looks like the biggest loser more than ever. Gavin has nobody to blame but himself. And how do you think Gavin contributed to this problem? How does it relate back to big agriculture? We're gonna find out in a second. But he has the nerve to be like, Trump, he's not here. Where's Trump? Trump should be here. And not criticizing me for what I caused in many ways. So meanwhile, they're gonna struggle to rebuild California. And many states across our country are still recovering from the hurricanes, but yet Joe Biden is here like, we're going to extend the legal status of nearly 1 million immigrants covered by program in Trump's crosshairs. Gavin doesn't have any problem with supporting illegal immigrants. And then we have Biden telling Gavin, oh, like, give me a break. It's not your fault. Nothing is your fault, Gavin. Maybe he should just pardon Gavin since he's so used to doing that. And I saw one comment the other day. It's like, you cannot pardon somebody who is innocent. And I agree with that. But here he is basically trying to do the same thing with Gavin Newsom.
Initiated every federal agency, from the Department of Defense on, every federal agency to be part of this. And the other thing is, look, you know, I think you're getting a bad rap. I know you're getting a bad rap about these fire hydrants don't have enough water in them. Give me a break. Give me a break. What this is all about is the utilities, understandably. What they did is they cut off power because they're worried about these high tension lines coming down and causing more fires.
Okay, so it's like, wow, it's almost like Biden said something that made sense, because we've seen the videos of the power lines sparking, and that can be really dangerous. And so they cut the electricity. And this is about utilities. But when you cut the electricity, normally the water doesn't go out. And I mean, maybe something can be different here because the whole water situation is just crazy in California. But it says no. Water usually doesn't stop flowing automatically when the electricity goes out if you're on a city water system. And I've experienced this before. I have not had power before, but still had water. So that's kind of a weird excuse, right? But it's not weird that he made an excuse. So of course Joe Biden is gonna sit here and be like, it's not a water problem, it's a utilities problem. And of course he's gonna say something like that because going back to the Resnick family, look at all these people that they have wrapped around their finger. I mean, probably the entire Democrat Party. And who else do you think we got on here? Oh yeah, of course we got Joe Biden on there. You got Barack Obama on there. So I also saw Hillary Clinton and, of course, Gavin Newsom. Again, what does this have to do with water? Should we ban the word water? I mean, people are asking some really good questions, like the Resnicks are powerful and their control over so much water is just outright ridiculous. You have another person saying, how can one family own more water than the entire city of LA? But wait, what does this have to do with the fire hydrants, right? It's honestly beginning to seem like Gavin Newsom is like Maduro because nobody wants him. This guy Gordon had to put up billboards along Highway 99 and Interstate 5 advertising the recall effort of Gavin Newsom. And a recall is a procedure by which voters can remove an elected official from office by a referendum before that official's term of office has ended. So California has been trying to get this dude out, and he's still there. Yes, I believe that this is the part where we say, whoop, there it is, guys. So big agricultural billionaires donate $250,000 to Newsom's campaign against the recall. Can you imagine needing hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to force your way to stay somewhere where nobody wants you? If people don't want you at a party or something, don't show up. So this is when the whole topic of the Delta Tunnel and the Delta smelt fish come about. And this is when I got a headache in all of my research. I mean, there's just so many contradictory statements, and sometimes it seems like Gavin was just really bad and he didn't care about the Delta smelt fish because the Delta Tunnel was actually bad for them, but I guess he was trying to make it seem like it was a good thing. I mean, there's just literally too much corruption to even begin, and there's just too many loops and rabbit holes that you can fall into when looking at all of this, one of them being that the Resnicks became notorious for buying water for as little as $28 per acre foot from the state of California and then selling it back for $196. I mean, these guys are they continuously use the state to their own benefit. And they have politicians wrapped around, they're like little puppets. So of course the Resnicks are not just gonna give over $275,000 because the wonderful company also donated. So I guess that's like a separate donation, apparently. But of course, they're not just gonna give it away for free. And that's the thing about these big charity things. It's like they're not just giving away money. They expect something in return. And so that is why they supported this whole resolution to stop the Republican recall of Governor Gavin Newsom because he's so incredible for us. And it says, whereas the effort to recall Governor Newsom is a partisan power grab spearheaded by Donald Trump's National Republican Party. And then this document goes on to insult Trump supporters. It calls them conspiracy theorists and militia groups whose aim is to disrupt and distract from California's progress, and just a bunch of things that are not true to me. So it seems like a lot of people were just very angry at Gavin Newsom's mismanagement and him continuing to progress the Delta Tunnel, because my understanding of what it would do is, yes, it would give large amounts of water supply to certain people, but all of the other small local farmers are just basically going to be out of business. And despite what Gavin was trying to make it seem like this was going to be something good for the environment and good for the fish, that's actually not correct. Here we have a quick overview of how it's going to negatively affect small farmers. It's going to reduce water availability, they're going to have decreased crop yields, and even the loss of farmland that maybe they can just come in and swoop right up. I mean, also, there's a lack of guaranteed benefits. I mean, basically everybody, even the experts in the water industry, have sent letters to the governor being like, this needs to stop. Like, you need to use your authority to change things. And he hasn't, because he's being played. And we're all being played. So here we have this document that was clarifying how bad the Delta conveyance actually is. And so a myth is that the purpose of the Delta tunnel is to ensure water supply reliability in face of climate change. That's not true, according to this document, anyways. And it also says the Delta tunnel protects the health and safety of all Californians, which I think by now we can all see that it doesn't, by providing access to affordable, reliable, and clean water in the face of climate change. No, they are declaring that as a myth. And also that it will that the Delta tunnel will capture water that would otherwise be unavailable without the project. That's not true. And I mean, not to mention that this is just another way for this insane taxpayer-funded project to be benefiting somebody behind the scenes. I mean, that's $20 billion. When I saw that number, I was like, oh, well, that's where the money from the homeless people is going, probably. Just a little break in the seriousness. All of this reminds me of a clip from this movie.
No, honey. Leave those on. The lawn's looking a little brown. Fiona, we're supposed to be conserving water. We're in the middle of a drought. Droughts are for poor people. You think J-Lo has a brown lawn? People
Droughts are for poor people.
who use extra water have extra class.
People who use extra water have extra class. Yeah, they own the wonderful company. I mean, what's insane is, of course, it's not like a business expense. It's not going to be like a business investment, because financially it doesn't even make sense. So they couldn't do this project on their own because they would be losing money. So they expect the government to just lose money for their gain. Because here it says, for every $1 in economic benefits from the Delta tunnel, it would cost $2.5. So why? Why would they do this? I mean, it just seems like anybody who has been invested in this has been yelling at the government, like, don't do this. This is a bad idea. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for the people. And yet they continue to further the project. Now, the balance of the water in California needs to be very careful. And they need to be moving water around for the state to be able to continue to exist, pretty much. And so it's a very complicated subject. However, for Gavin to be out here like, oh, I'm just the most environmentally friendly person in the world, and he has made basically his entire stance always seems to involve the climate somehow, and even his little plump jack business is all about the climate and all about being organic, but yet environmental groups and many Delta residents have long warned that the tunnel could put the Imperial Delta ecosystem at even greater risk, swapping freshwater flows needed for fish farms and communities in the region. Here we have another article stating, stop the Newsom deadly Delta tunnel project. It's sad to say, but looks like Governor Newsom has a death wish for the San Francisco Bay. And I mean, we are all witnessing this. What's crazy is people have been warning about this for years now. People have been writing letters to the governor saying that the Fall X2 requirement needs to stop. So let me read to you what that is. Fall X2 is a water action that increases outflow into the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta to improve habitat for endangered Delta smelt, okay? And so apparently when these Delta fish have eggs, they need cold water. And so they need to go into the fresh water, I believe. So they have a measurement that goes to the Golden Gate Bridge based on how much water and the type of water they are receiving in that specific year. The point is, and my understanding of it, is that they're ruining the fresh water because once the fresh water mixes, they're unable to ever get that water back. But because of this Fall X2 thing that is supposed to save these fish, but actually it is bad for them, it decreases the amount of fresh water that they have. It doesn't seem like they really care about water management. Gavin Newsom just seems like one of the most incompetent, or I mean, if he's not incompetent, he's very corrupt, because they're saying that there's 350,000 acre feet of fresh water that is being lost because of the Fall X2. Okay, so that's 350,000 acre feet. And just so you know, 1 acre feet is 326,000 gallons. And I watched this from a YouTube video. I'll put it in the description. It was really good. Now, just to get a reference on how impactful this water could be, the city of San Diego uses 175,000 acre feet per year. So the amount of water that is being wasted could get all of San Diego's consumption for 2 whole years. So obviously the Resnicks are major promoters of the Delta Tunnel. It is just so negligent that, of course, they're going to throw some type of DEI wokeism thing to try to mask it all, so that people get lost in the conversation. So, I mean, Gavin has done a horrendous job at managing water. Trump has told him, the people of the state have pleaded to him, and now he says, I'm calling for an independent investigation. It's always independent, isn't it? And it says, into the loss of water pressure to local fire hydrants and the reported unavailability of water supplies. It's just so weird that there's just not enough fresh water. So now, as far as the reason as to why some fire hydrants didn't have water, Gavin Newsom and everybody's saying, well, that's only meant to put out one house or a couple houses. It's not meant to put out the entire city. So here it says, water flows from the reservoirs into this very complicated network of pipes, pumps, and tanks that stretch all over LA. And so I think people are mostly just like, okay, well, why wasn't the water flowing from the reservoirs into the pipes, through the pumps, and into the tanks, you know? Like, why wasn't there any water? But again, after we have just looked at the many ways that the government isn't doing what is best for the people and instead basically being controlled, I mean, the Democrat Party anyway, you know why. Because about 40% of LA city waters comes from state-controlled projects. And then Gavin Newsom's is like, this is not about politics right now. We shouldn't be expecting the government to be responsible with the water. I mean, it's not like we're the ones in control of it, but they literally are. So ultimately, it's speculation about how these wealthy families are influencing politicians. And I mean, it also seems like Gavin Newsom could be benefiting by making sure the water flows in certain ways because he owns thousands of acres to grow these grapes to make his wine. While it's speculation, it's just obvious. Now, the reason why I have all of these pistachios is because every time we come back from the Dominican Republic, we don't buy. I mean, I love pistachios, but we're not getting those wonderful pistachios because they're overpriced. They're not that good. I don't think that they're natural like they try to say that they are. But meanwhile, I have these pistachios from the Dominican Republic that actually, I mean, you could just see. They just look more natural. They are more natural. And so the Resnick family is under fire now. People are knowing their name. They've always tried to hide. They're not like, I mean, they're worth $8 billion, so it's not in comparison to Elon Musk. But I mean, they're not like an Elon Musk where they're out there in the public. They always hide because they do a lot of foul practices. So this was just really informative, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. Please triple, double, quadruple check that you're subscribed, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.